I'm 34M, married to Leela, 31F, for 3 years, together for 6. She's a yoga instructor who does freelance graphic design. I'm a business manager for an industrial equipment company here in Ohio. Pretty normal middle-class setup, or so I thought. For the past 8 months, I've been pulling serious overtime. Not because we're struggling, we're actually doing well financially thanks to a solid prenup we both agreed on early in our relationship. My dad went through a brutal divorce when I was in college, lost half his retirement to a woman who cheated on him, learned from his mistakes. I was saving up to surprise Leela with a new Honda CR-V. Her current car is a 2018 Civic that's been giving her trouble, especially in winter. The transmission slips, the heating system is wonky, and she's mentioned wanting something with more space for her yoga equipment and props. I figured a CR-V would be perfect, reliable, practical, and she could write off part of it as a business expense. The overtime meant I was getting home around 9 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. most nights. I work for a company that supplies specialized machinery to manufacturing plants, and we landed this huge contract with an automotive parts manufacturer. The commission alone would cover the car purchase, but it required me being on site for equipment installation and training sessions. Leela seemed fine with the schedule. She'd have dinner waiting when I got home. We'd watch Netflix together, normal married couple stuff. She said she understood I was working towards something important and that she was proud of how dedicated I was. I figured she thought it was for a vacation or maybe finally finishing our basement renovation. 3 weeks ago, I finished a project early and got home at 6:30. As I was walking up to our front porch, I heard Leela on the phone in the living room. Our house is this 1950s ranch style with single-pane windows, and there's this weird acoustic thing where you can hear conversations from the front porch if the windows are open and someone's talking loudly. Van, I'm telling you, this is perfect timing. He's never home before 9 these days, sometimes not until 10. I could easily meet Louis for coffee, maybe dinner, see where things go. Patrick would never know. I stopped dead in my tracks. Louis is this guy from her yoga studio who's been commenting on her Instagram posts for months. Nothing obviously inappropriate, but the kind of comments that made me raise an eyebrow. Stuff like "you're glowing in this photo" and "your energy is infectious" on pictures where she's in yoga poses. I know, Leela continued. But Van, what if this is my only chance to see if there's something better out there? I mean, Patrick's a good guy, he provides well, but he's so predictable, so safe. Louis makes me feel alive again like I did before I got married. Remember how I used to be. Vanessa is her divorced friend who's been pushing the "you're young, explore your options" narrative since her own marriage imploded last year. Her ex-husband caught her cheating with a personal trainer, took her to the cleaners in their divorce. Now she's bitter and seems determined to drag other women down with her. That's exactly what I'm saying. I could hear Vanessa's voice through the speaker phone. You gave Patrick your best years, and for what? So you could be some boring suburban housewife. Girl, you're 31, not 51. If you don't explore this connection with Louis now, you'll regret it forever. I stood there for another 5 minutes listening to my wife plan to cheat on me with the explicit encouragement of her friend. They discussed logistics, when to meet him, how to avoid leaving digital trails, even what to wear. The conversation ended with them agreeing to meet for coffee the next day to strategize the approach. I stayed outside for another minute, just listening to her move around the house like every other day. Then went around to the back door, made some noise with my keys and briefcase, and came in like normal. Leela greeted me with a kiss and asked about my day like nothing happened. She even made my favorite dinner. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared at the ceiling for hours. This woman I'd been with for 6 years, married for 3, was planning to betray me. And she was doing it with a smile on her face, making my favorite meals, asking about my work projects. Reddit, I need advice. Part of me wants to confront her immediately, but another part thinks I should wait and see how far she's willing to go. Our prenup protects most of my assets, and I've been documenting our finances carefully since we got married. I keep thinking about that phrase, explore your options, like I'm just an option she's weighing against other choices. What would you do? Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading all your responses now. A lot of you are saying to get a lawyer involved ASAP. I have a good relationship with the attorney who helped us with the prenup. Might be time for a call. For those asking about the prenup, we both brought assets into the marriage and wanted to protect them. I had a house. She had student loans and some savings. It wasn't a red flag thing. We both agreed it was smart financial planning. It covers property, savings, debt responsibility, and specifies no alimony unless there are kids involved. We don't have any. We decided to wait on kids until we paid off her student loans and had a bigger emergency fund. And no, I haven't gone through her phone. I'm not going to turn into a paranoid stalker. I heard what I heard, and that's enough. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks later, so after reading your advice, I contacted my lawyer immediately. Jim handled our prenup 3 years ago and has been our family attorney for various things since. He reviewed our prenup and confirmed what I suspected. I'm well protected. He also suggested I start documenting everything, which I've been doing religiously. The day after my first post, I set up a small recording device in our main living area, legal in my state with one-party consent. Over the next week, I captured 3 more conversations between Leela and Vanessa planning her exploration phase. In one conversation, they discussed specific dates when I'd be working late. In another, they talked about how to avoid leaving digital trails, using cash instead of cards, meeting at places where we don't usually go, even creating a cover story about Leela taking evening yoga workshops. Meanwhile, Leela was acting completely normal at home. Loving wife, asking about my day, planning our weekend grocery runs. She even surprised me with tickets to a baseball game for the following weekend. The cognitive dissonance was incredible. I started seeing changes in her behavior, though. She was suddenly very interested in her appearance again, new workout clothes, getting her hair done more frequently, buying these expensive organic face masks she'd never cared about before. She also became secretive about her phone, taking it with her to the bathroom and charging it on her side of the bed instead of the kitchen counter like usual. Last Friday, she finally made her move. She sat me down after dinner with this serious, practiced expression. "Patrick, we need to talk." She folded her hands in her lap, took a deep breath. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I need to be honest with you about something." I set down my coffee cup, already knowing what was coming. "Okay, I'm listening. I love you, I really do, but I feel like I've lost myself in our relationship." Her voice had this practiced cadence, like she'd rehearsed this speech. "I need some space to remember who I was before I became just Patrick's wife. I think a trial separation would be healthy for both of us." I nodded slowly, keeping my expression neutral. "How long are we talking about?" "Maybe a month or 2. Vanessa said I could stay with her while I gain some perspective on our relationship and what I really want from life." Of course, Vanessa had already offered. "What would that look like practically?" I asked, playing the concerned husband perfectly. "Would we have contact during this time?" She brightened slightly, probably thinking this was going better than expected. "We could text, maybe talk on the phone. I just need physical space to think clearly. And after the separation, what then?" "Well, maybe we could try couples therapy when I'm ready, work through whatever issues we have." She reached across the table and touched my hand. "I was worried you'd be angry." I looked down at her hand on mine, the same hand that would probably be touching Louis within the week. "I'm not angry, Leela. I'm just trying to understand what you need." Her eyes welled up with tears. "This doesn't mean I don't love you. I just need to figure out if I'm staying because I choose to or because it's comfortable." "I want you to be happy," I said, squeezing her hand gently. "If this is what you need, then take all the time you need." The relief on her face was unmistakable. She'd expected a fight, tears, maybe begging. Instead, she got understanding and support for her journey of self-discovery. If only she knew what journey I was planning for her. What she doesn't know is that I've already filed for divorce. Papers were submitted last Monday. She also doesn't know that the $47,000 I've saved from overtime, originally for her car, has been moved to a separate account that predates our marriage, making it protected under our prenup. She moved out Sunday morning, gave me this long speech about how much she loves me but needs to explore who she is outside of being someone's wife. She packed 2 suitcases and several boxes of personal items. Vanessa was there for moral support, giving me these sympathetic looks like she wasn't the mastermind behind this whole operation. "Take care of yourself, Patrick," Vanessa said as they loaded Leela's stuff into her car. "This isn't about you not being enough. Sometimes people just need to spread their wings." I helped carry her bags to the car, told her to take all the time she needed and that I'd be here when she was ready to talk about our future. The house felt different that night, quieter but not in a sad way, more like peaceful. My lawyer says I should have everything ready to serve her papers within the next week. The plan is to wait until she's settled into her journey of self-discovery and then hit her with reality. Some of you asked why I'm not just confronting her directly about what I overheard. Here's the thing. I could have done that 3 weeks ago and maybe worked something out, gone to counseling, tried to rebuild trust. But once I heard her planning to cheat with such calculated detail, something fundamental broke for me. The marriage was over the moment she decided to explore other options while keeping me as her safety net. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. And I want to make sure I handle this smart, not emotional. Edit. To clarify the timeline, she moved out Sunday. I'm serving papers this Friday. Gives her almost a week to enjoy her freedom before reality hits. Yes, I'm still going to work every day. Keeping busy helps, and my colleagues have been supportive without being nosy about details. Update 2. Posted 1 week later Friday was very interesting. Leela had been texting me all week about how refreshing her time away was and how she was gaining so much clarity about herself. She sent photos of coffee dates with new friends, probably Louis, yoga sessions at different studios, and even a picture of some expensive sushi dinner with the caption, "Treating myself for the first time in years." Each text felt like a knife twist, but I responded with supportive messages about taking all the time she needed and how I was glad she was finding herself. Friday afternoon, I drove to Vanessa's apartment complex. It's one of those modern places with the fake brick facade and names like the Residences at Willowbrook. Leela answered the door with this bright, almost manic smile, probably thinking I was there to beg her to come home. "Patrick, this is such a nice surprise. I was just thinking about you. Come in, come in. I was about to make some herbal tea." She looked different. New haircut, makeup done even though it was 3 p.m. on a Friday, wearing one of those flowy bohemian dresses she never used to like, playing a character. I handed her the manila envelope. "I was thinking about you too. That's why I wanted to get these to you as soon as possible." Her smile faltered as she took the envelope. "What? What is this?" "Divorce papers. I figured since you're exploring your options, I should explore mine too." The color drained from her face as she read the first page. She had to sit down on Vanessa's couch, just staring at the words like they were written in a foreign language. "Patrick, what? I don't understand. This is just a separation. I told you I needed time to think. And I gave you time to think. I also gave myself time to think. This is what I've decided." Vanessa appeared from the kitchen, saw the papers, and immediately went into damage control mode. "Patrick, don't you think you're being a little hasty here? Leela just needs some space to work through some things. This doesn't have to be permanent." "To work through things like sleeping with Louis from the yoga studio," I said calmly. The apartment went dead silent. Leela's face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. "We haven't, Patrick. I would never." "You would never what? Plan to cheat on me? Because I have recordings of you and Vanessa discussing exactly that, practicing lies to tell me, scheduling times to meet him based on my work schedule." Vanessa's face went pale. "You recorded us. That's illegal." "Actually, it's not. One-party consent state. I'm the one party and I consented to recording conversations in my own home." Leela went from shocked to desperate to angry in about 30 seconds. First came the tearful denials. She never actually did anything physical. It was just conversations, just fantasy. She would never actually go through with it. Then came the bargaining. Maybe we could go to counseling, work through this together. She'd cut all contact with Louis and Vanessa if that's what it took. When I didn't budge, explaining that the trust was broken regardless of whether she'd physically cheated yet, she switched tactics completely. Fine. If this is really what you want, if you're going to throw away 6 years over some stupid conversations, then I'll need access to our savings account to get back on my feet. I gave up career opportunities to support your advancement. I deserve half of everything we've built together. That's when I explained that the money she was thinking of, the overtime money she knew I'd been saving, was never ours. It had always been in my individual account that predated our marriage, and our prenup clearly states that individual assets remain individual assets. Her face went from angry to desperate to furious in record time. You planned this. You've been planning to leave me and you set me up. I planned to surprise you with a new car. I ended up surprising you with divorce papers instead. Funny how life works. She started screaming about how unfair it was, how I had tricked her into signing a prenup that left her with nothing, how she deserved compensation for 3 years of supporting my career and being a good wife. I reminded her that she supported my career by teaching yoga classes and doing occasional freelance design work while I paid the mortgage, utilities, groceries, her car payment, health insurance, and most of our entertainment expenses. Vanessa jumped in with threats about getting lawyers and fighting the prenup, claiming it was signed under duress, that I had manipulated a naive young woman. I told them both they were welcome to try, but my lawyer was confident in our documentation. We had emails discussing the prenup terms, video of both of us signing it with our individual attorneys present, and 3 years of financial records showing exactly what we agreed to. Then Leela hit me with the nuclear option. I'm pregnant. I looked at her for a long moment, studying her face. 3 weeks ago, she'd been drinking wine at dinner. Last week, she'd been posting Instagram photos with cocktails. Congratulations, I said finally. I assume Louis is excited about becoming a father. She broke down completely at that point, sobbing, admitting she wasn't pregnant, begging me to reconsider, promising she'd never gone through with anything physical with Louis, that it was all just stupid fantasy encouraged by Vanessa. Maybe that's true, I said, but you were planning to. The only reason you didn't cheat yet is because you didn't have the opportunity. Well, now you have all the opportunity in the world. I told them both the divorce was happening regardless, whether she cheated physically or just emotionally, and planned to cheat didn't matter to me. The marriage ended the moment she decided to explore other options while keeping me as her backup plan. Left them both crying in the doorway of that fake luxury apartment. Edit. Getting a lot of DMs about the pregnancy claim. My lawyer says this is extremely common in contentious divorces, and that's why we're requiring medical documentation for any pregnancy-related claims going forward. She can't fake medical records. Someone asked about the recordings. Yes, my lawyer has copies of everything. It's all admissible evidence if she tries to contest the divorce terms. Final update. Posted 3 weeks later, this will be my final update on this situation. Things escalated quickly after I served the papers, but it's finally over and I can move on with my life. The day after my last post, Leela started what my lawyer called a scorched earth campaign. She called my office Monday morning claiming I was having a complete mental breakdown and was potentially dangerous to myself and others. She told HR I'd been acting erratically, that she was afraid for her safety, and that I might do something crazy at work. Fortunately, I'd already given my direct supervisor a heads up about the divorce and warned him about potential false claims. My boss knows me well after 5 years at the company. He called me into his office, explained what happened, and assured me that they weren't taking it seriously but had to document it for legal reasons. Tuesday, she tried the fake pregnancy angle again, this time calling my lawyer claiming she was going to file for emergency spousal support due to her condition. My lawyer immediately requested medical verification from an actual doctor, not just a home pregnancy test. We never heard back about that. Wednesday brought the most creative attempt. Vanessa called our neighbors posing as a social worker investigating reports of domestic disturbance at our address. She claimed there had been complaints about screaming and possible violence. Unfortunately for them, one of our neighbors is Bob, a retired police sergeant. Bob got suspicious when social worker Vanessa couldn't provide proper identification, agency contact information, or even spell the county social services department correctly. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some official ID and a badge number, or I'm calling the real police to report someone impersonating a government official," Bob told her. Vanessa panicked and ran back to her car. Bob got her license plate number and called it into his former colleagues. They traced it back to Vanessa and paid her a visit about filing false reports. My lawyer documented everything. Each harassment attempt just strengthened our case and showed the court exactly who they were dealing with. Thursday was quiet, too quiet. I should have known they were planning something bigger. Friday evening, I got a call from Louie. Yes, that Louie. "Dude, I need to talk to you about Leela," he said. "This whole thing has gotten completely out of hand." Turns out, Leela had been telling him that I was abusive, that she needed a safe place to stay while dealing with her dangerous, controlling husband. She'd been using our separation as a sob story to get sympathy and attention from him. But then she started talking about needing money for lawyers, asking if he could help her get what she deserves from me. Louis decided to do some digging after getting suspicious about her stories. Found my Facebook and photos of Leela and me, realized the timeline didn't match what she'd told him about being separated for months. He apologized and said he'd stopped answering Leela's calls. The final court date was last Tuesday. Leela showed up with a public defender, apparently couldn't afford private counsel after spending her savings on her self-discovery journey. She tried one last Hail Mary, claiming the prenup was signed under duress and that I had hidden assets she was entitled to. My lawyer presented our documentation, video of us both signing the prenup with our respective attorneys present, email chains where we both discussed and agreed to the terms, and complete financial records showing every penny I'd earned and saved during our marriage. The judge took one look at everything, listened to Leela's attorney's half-hearted arguments, and granted the divorce immediately. No alimony, no asset division beyond what was explicitly shared in our joint checking account, about $3,200. Leela's public defender advised her afterward not to pursue any appeals. "Ma'am, you'd be throwing good money after bad," I heard him tell her. After court, I found out the full extent of her self-discovery journey from Jim, my lawyer, who'd done some digging at my request. She'd been spending money like she was already divorced and entitled to half my assets. New clothes, expensive dinners at trendy restaurants, spa treatments, even a weekend trip to Chicago with Vanessa. All of it funded by maxing out the credit card that I'd removed myself from as an authorized user the day I filed for divorce. She's now personally responsible for about $11,000 in debt she racked up during her exploration phase. Changed the locks on the house last weekend. Had a security system installed with cameras covering all entrances. Leela still has Vanessa and a few flying monkeys sending me angry messages about how I destroyed a good woman's life and ruined her chance at happiness. But my phone has a block feature for a reason. The weird part, I feel incredible. I'm not bitter, I'm not angry, I'm just free. The house feels like mine again. I can come home to peace instead of wondering what manipulation or lie is waiting for me. Life's too short to be someone's backup plan. Thanks for all the support, guys.